Welcome to episode 7 of Side Quest, and today is special. Well, first off, let me set the tone. Let's get us the right colors here, and let's change this background up. All right, everyone. Today we're going to be playing NPCs. I'll be playing Inquisitor Pyre. And I'll be joined by 2 other of the cast members, playing as retinue of the Inquisitor. For those who don't know much about the setting, in Athontia, the true faith has the hand of fire, or the hand of flame. And each one of those hands, because there's earth, water, fire, and air, each one of those have branches underneath. In the hand of flame, there are the Inquisitors and retinue. Inquisitors are the people who go out and hunt heretics that worship dead gods, or keepers in our setting, or people who are religious zealots, or those who have turned from the true faith and are sharing secrets of the true faith, the theocracy. Retinue are the people who work with the Inquisitor to keep them sane. So when you're an Inquisitor, you go out and burn down houses and hunt down people and do pretty horrific things in the name of a good cause. And that can drive these people mad. And on top of that, you're dealing with keepers, so there are powers that are not quite understood. Because of that, retinue have to be used to keep them in check, to stop them from going off the deep end. So today, we're going to have 2 members of the retinue, and I will switch us over to them. So today, we have 2 cast members. We have Kasich, who is usually playing Oliver. Hi, Alan. I know you're hyped for Cyberpunk, but we're going to do this. And then Kelly, who usually plays Nora. And what's your character's first name? Is it Agrun?
Agun.
Agun?
Agrun. There's the R in there. I'm not pronouncing it properly.
What is
right
Agrun?
now.
Agrun, all right. And she usually plays Nora. I know you're also excited for Cyberpunk, and
yes.
So am I. But we're gonna get through side quest. And actually, this side quest is gonna be pretty fun. I'm excited to have us play NPCs today. This is gonna be a little different than normal. So with that, I don't know if we should really give too many details about the characters. I think that'll come out through play, but I will set the tone for what we are doing. So Inquisitor Pyre has been brought to the city. Thank you to the citizens of Merrifield for playing the card. And Inquisitor Pyre is here on a job hunting down a heretic to the church. Heretics to the church are people who have turned over and has started worshiping or following something other than the true faith. And people who are high up in power, that is a pretty big issue. So, with that said, we have our 2 retinue with them. I'm going to take us right over to the map, because we're going to be traveling here. And you can kind of see the retinue and the 2... Yep, there we go. And then we got the Inquisitor as well. So the last scene we saw the Inquisitor and the 2 retinue, they were burning bodies and kicking them off into the Arcodius crater. Arcodius crater is created by the meteor that struck years ago and blew up everything south of Merrifield in a very large area. We're talking miles of land were destroyed. And then we saw them travel along the ridge down south, following it to another city. And that's where we're going to be arriving today, is this city. The city is fortified. It is walled in. I'll zoom out a little bit here so you can see more of the city. They would have gotten into the Splinter Ray, which is this cast iron black airship that's small. It only fits the 3 Inquisitors and has a small, 5-foot prison cell in case they have to bring anyone back. But I'll be honest, bringing people back isn't usually what the Inquisitor of Flame does. Prisoners aren't common unless the retinue deem that the prisoner is necessary. And there's a little bit of a chain of command here. While the Inquisitor is in charge, actually the retinue have the last say if they feel he is going kind of over the top. Think of it almost like how you handle a ship captain if a mutiny starts, or if the captain is not in their right mind and you need to take over. It's sort of like that. Chain of command changes. So there's the map so everybody can see it. When you approach to the front of this walled-in city, a lot of the walls that are facing east towards the crater are burned up and charred and blackened. It looks like people have tried to clean it, but it just has never really went that well. It's never been polished to what it once was. There is a river that goes in and out, but you know as well as everyone else, those tides that kind of wash out into a lake to the west between here and the Maw, which is the large mountain range that kind of divides Angrad, the continent in which we are playing on, is filled with tides. And those tides, when you fly over to land, that they are flowing through the city, and they do kind of expand out into the buildings and, with the wax and wane and swell back into the riverbed. The ship is too large to fit into the city. We have our tokens off to this would be the southwest side, but you can park anywhere that you would like to park discussing things with the Inquisitor. That is 100% up to the group. So where would the group like to land this cast iron splinter ray, these jagged, very long, sharp ships? Where would you like to park it to begin looking through here for the heretic, the last known location?
Inquisitor Pyre, I think we should park it obviously outside of the walls. Either here, and I'm marking on some sort of roughly drawn map, or here to the east. Out of character, I don't know if it looks like there'd be enough room for it to land here, but I don't necessarily want to land it here anyway, because we could be landing into who knows what.
Ship-wise, if you're asking the rough size of the ship, it can land in this field. It would be roughly about this big on the map. That red box that I put.
Okay.
So it would definitely be off camera to a point. You know what I mean? Because it's large enough.
Okay.
So where were you pointing you want to land it? Do you want to stay on this side, or do you want to go in somewhere else?
Ooh, well, let's see. Yeah, I would prefer to land over here because in part we're already set up there, but also there's some extra housing and structures that we could possibly fall back to, and it looks like the ones that are to the east aren't as numerous.
No. Yeah, so flying over, do you have any knowledge checks that you would like to make between the three of you as you've flown over this, what is actually a well-fortified city? And you're guessing that Merrifield at one point in time was very similar to this. It probably had walls. It had a lot more occupancy, but where it was in the crater, the walls fell and it went over top of Merrifield, so chunks of Merrifield were destroyed. But at one point in time, it probably was as grand as this is. So is there any checks or any knowledge that you would like to obtain as a flyover before you land?
Is it possible to roll to survival to see what locations seem best intact, where someone trying to run or hide might think to hole up?
Survival, or if you have any warfare or anything like that, all those would count. So
the one time
you feel more likely to roll. Ooh, I should probably grab my dice.
The one time I did not take warfare lore when it was offered to me.
Survival it is.
Yep, I took a different lore, which makes sense in hindsight, but still.
32.
I got an 18.
32, Alan? Is that what you got?
I got 32, yeah.
That's pretty fucking solid.
I mean, it's because of his big nose. He's a Volg. He's got sense.
That's the only way that Volg get anything done. So as we fly over top of the city, and you're looking, I'll take us back to the map here. There are a few spots on the map that are pretty good shots. So there is the large house here. Think in Witcher how there's like that big walled-in area with the 3-story home. It's like that. It's made of brick though, and the bottom area is all granite along the bottom of the building. Probably why these buildings are still standing is most of them are stone with clay rooftops. A lot of the clay rooftops are damaged, so this area seems likely, the most likely. There is a church here. Who knows what keeper temple that is, but that would make sense as well, because if you're hunting a heretic, they might be going there to find things. And then on top of that, the mill over here could be a good spot if they're looking for dark tides. And then towards the front, these areas are walled. Anywhere you see this gray is walled in areas, but they are walkable palisades around, or they are towers for guards. So these two also could be very likely. And if this individual is what has been expected and been affected by the tides, they could be hiding under the bridge somewhere. Now, you rolled a 32. Between that, the Inquisitor Pyre, and the 18 that was rolled, it would make sense that they're probably going to want to be somewhere where they can get away fast. It's going to be hard to get away from the bridge, but this walled-in area, from the information with that 32, you know there are underground tunnels that would leave out of here. So, 32, this makes the most sense. This makes the most sense. And maybe the church, if they are looking for relics or artifacts from a keeper. So those three with a 32, I would say that would be the most prominent. With that said, would you change where you land?
I don't think so. Mostly because coming from the south, the key way to cross into that central location is through that bridge.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kasich would say, Inquisitor, should we perhaps come at the central location from multiple angles? Yes, I could perhaps walk down to the northeastern portion of the town and approach the temple from the other side, yes.
If this person means to escape, we should close in the city and block any exits. I say we go where the gates are and seal the city in. If we need to, we can use the splinter ray to burn it from the outside. And now you know the splinter ray has the equivalent to amplified versions of scorching ray. They could literally just sear all the things that are burnable and light this place on fire going inwards. But the main thing that an Inquisitor retinue have to do is when they find a heretic, they capture the soul for interrogation to find other heretics that might be working with them. So if you do that, you got to be real careful about, burning the person that you need. So he says, I believe we should lock in our prey. Let's start here. And he points to the southwest where you're at now. He says, I will head up along the west wall. The two of you head east and see if you can close that other gate.
Yes, my Inquisitor.
As you command, Inquisitor Pyre.
Be quick. Have signals ready. And the ship opens, and the way the ship opens, when they land, the fins that kind of are used for directing airflow around the ship when it's flying, they fold down and they actually spike into the ground, and it surrounds the ship in a glyph that glows like a fiery red, almost like coals and embers around the glyph. The bottom of the ship would split open where you guys can climb out. and make your way into the city. This beginning piece here on the left and right looks like it's an inn, and then on the right-hand side, some form of place to purchase gear, or maybe at one point in time get like horseshoes fixed back when horses were common. And then, sure enough, there are 2 towers that are like small garrisons, probably about 40 foot tall, with a large gate that looks like it would drop down. The gate is in a little bit of a bad shape, but it might be repairable. You might be able to get it to drop, but it probably wouldn't reopen. So the Inquisitor is going to make his way through. He would point to the gate above him, signaling for you two to find a way to get this closed. And he would make his way into the city. The 2 of you, where are you going to go? How do you want to approach this?
If he wants this gate that we just came through, if he wants that sealed behind us, I would be looking into trying to seal it behind us.
Okay.
So, I don't know if you would want perception or crafting.
Are you guys going into the 2 garrison towers then, or basically looking around?
Yeah.
I am.
All right. Are you splitting up or staying together?
Kasich looks at Agrun. Cover more guy around, or sticking together for security. What do you think, Agrun?
We've already essentially been split apart because of Pyre going to the north. If we're going to keep him in line, if it comes to it, we should probably split ground now to accomplish our tasks more quickly so that we can catch up to him.
Then I will head to the east gate while you handle the southwest one to close it quicker.
All right. I will say the map is to scale. So if you use your measuring, you can actually measure out distances if you need to.
Okay.
All right. So who's staying? It looks like Agrun is going to stay.
Yes.
Is it Wolgrad? Is that how you pronounce it?
Wolgrad.
Wolgrad. So
Yeah.
if you're staying, between the 2 towers going through, the buildings are in disarray. There was definitely combat here at some point in time after the meteor struck. There are bodies that litter the stairwells, tons of bite marks and wounds. Do you have medicine? Are you trained in it?
No, because I was planning on playing something a little different than Nora. But
That's fine.
Well, I'm not
do you have
trained in
anything
it.
Do you have anything for combat?
I'm not trained in it, but I can still roll if there's a way to figure stuff out with an untrained check.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Untrained, or if you have any lore that would work as well for like combat or anything like that.
No, but let me pull up my sheet.
Or do you have any recall knowledge checks too that you're good at that would also count? Specifically looking for occult, if you have occult at all.
Oh, I have occult.
Yeah, you just take your roll and use occult then.
Okay, so that'd be a 19.
The wounds and marks on the dead guard that are here, they're Earth Guard that were probably sent here to protect the place before the crater hit. Like, because this city would have been built up. The comet striking, the meteor striking was, I think, 5 years ago or 4 years ago now, roughly. There are bodies strewn apart and torn apart. More than likely, they were attacked by a kata, being so close to the crater. And then sure enough, as you get up to the top where you would go to where the gate falls and you have your mechanism to release, there are cocoons, those webbing cocoons, shattered open up here. There's probably half a dozen of them. And the rooftop has got holes and stuff in it from where they impacted, from falling out of the trail of that meteor. Looking over the device, you think you can get it to work. It's going to take a little bit of like physical effort. If you want to give me a might check, or not might, what am I saying? Athletics check to try to
get it cranked.
Get this thing
Try and
cranked?
get it moved.
You gotta get it loose. The big wheel, when you pull, the gate will like move a little bit, but it's just not enough to release the latch off the cog to get it to drop.
I got 32.
So you one hand pull it while you're still holding your bastard sword. And as you do, out of the corner of your eye on the rooftops over here, you can see shadows following the Inquisitor. And I'm going to cut you there and go over to Kasich. Kasich, which part of the town are you going to head to?
The east side of the town to close the other gate. And as he's moving, like he has both hands like clutching the war lantern. Mm-hmm. The war lantern around the top metal part, the bottom metal part, has red glyphs that kind of glow in the quasi light.
We've never explained what the war lanterns are, even though it's an iconic part of Athantia. You're the first person to use one.
Yeah.
So, in this set piece, war lanterns are this really... I mean, originally made for miners. They were worker friendly. There's a pike on the bottom, and they're made to stick into walls. So your lantern, you could kind of pick a hole, stick it in the wall, and you could have light anywhere in your tunnels. And then when people started traveling more during the times of darkness, they could stick them in the ground when they're setting up their tents. They have a hanger on them so you can hang them. They became more and more prominent. But as the world was found to be unsafe, they started becoming combat weapons, and they started making these lanterns durable. So compared to, you can kind of see it, there's a lantern up above me here, those fragile ones that if you were to hit them wrong, they'd fall apart. These are really durable, and they're made to be held with a handle on the backside of them like a bullseye lantern, and the top, and you can actually strike with them. And these spikes on the bottom of them can be replaced with different types of materials. Wood is traditional, but finding things like silver, cold iron, and salt are definitely not uncommon. So right now, what is Kasich using in his? What type of spike do you have in your war lantern?
The bottom is capped with cold iron right now.
Okay.
But he's moving kind of through the town.
Through.
There's the of him sniffing, trying to smell out and catch the scent of heresy as he's going to the east gate.
Did you follow the palisade around, or did you go through the city streets?
He's walking through the city streets.
Okay, so if you're walking through the city streets, can you give me just a perception check as you're kind of looking through the entire city, making your way from the southwest entrance over to the east?
Do my little dance, getting a high roll, yeah.
One.
I mean,
that would be a 32.
Jesus, do you only have one number on Kasich? Like, what's going on?
I gotta do that dance. I guess I gotta do that dance.
Doing my dance, getting a high roll, yeah.
Jesus, dude. So as you're going across, and I would say about here, you start to feel something. Then you get a scent. And you can see over at the cracks here some silhouettes of people at the river. And at first it looks like that maybe they're going through the motions of washing stuff. But the smell is of that decay with a really harsh, like, iron filing smell to them. And you know that there are void zombies along the riverbank, which are what happens to someone when they are bit and attacked by a kata. They turn into these ugly, half-chewed, stretchy skin-looking creatures. I think actually we've used them before. Here, let me see. Yeah, we have void zombies. There's like sores, and like the sores will like glow once in a while and fade away.
Kasich will pause, pull out a small piece of parchment, and like jot down a couple of glyphs.
Okay.
That mean like danger and undead. And he'll roll it up, then he'll reach in his pocket and pull out a small statue of a black bird, and he'll breathe on it. And as he breathes on it, there's like this spark that leaves the mask and into the bird as it manifests into an actual crow. And he'll tie the note to the foot and send it on its way back to the other retinue member, Agron.
Okay. So as you do that, from the buildings next to you, but you were aware. You make it through this area pretty safely. If you want to do it without being followed, you will have to give me a stealth. If you don't care if you're followed and you're just going to, eviscerate these people, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
All right. So behind you, a crowd starts to follow down the street. What's one coming out of a building and another coming out of a building. Slowly but surely, there's a small group wandering through the city after you. And you hear them speaking to each other. What languages does Kasich know?
Kasich can speak. Vulgar, Hollow, and Dread. Specifically the Demoni dialect.
None of the languages sound familiar to you, like none of the dialects they're speaking, but they're not speaking in Cadraic or Common. And they are whispering back and forth, and they'll even go up to a door and claw on the door, and you'll see another void zombie come out. They are definitely communicating with each other as this crowd is forming, and you make your way up that tower to start looking at how to get this gate to drop. And I'll cut back to the other retinue member. What are you doing when you see the Akata following along the rooftops after the Inquisitor? Now, you do know your Inquisitor is more than capable of handling themselves. In full plate, black iron full plate, carries a glaive that you've seen in action before. Fearing for him probably isn't a big deal, as a bird comes and lands on the sill.
When you originally said shadowy figures, I was concerned they might have been other heretics that have fled here for safety. Yep. But as I see them and I see that they're Akata, I'm still a little concerned, but not nearly as concerned. So I finished wrapping up here, trying to get the gate dropped. I know, I was able to loosen it. I don't know if there's anything else I need to do.
One hand let go and it goes boom, and you see the Akata look back when the gate falls.
Okay. I wasn't sure if there's anything besides loosening it, so that's fine. I open up the little parchment roll on from the crow, because I'm assuming that I recognize it as something that Kasich has sent before.
As worked together for quite some time.
Okay. So I'd roll it, and you mark down undead.
Yeah.
On it. Okay.
And danger and undead.
Danger and undead. Did you mark anything like a rune for needing backup?
No, just more notifying you, hey, be careful when you're moving around by yourself.
Okay. That being the case, I think I'm just gonna leave. I already accomplished my goal here. Okay. Do I know how strong Kasich is, generally speaking?
You've worked with each other for quite some time, so...
Right, so I guess I'm asking... So Alan, if Kasich came into the same situation where he needed to, open up, loosen up some, huge gears or whatever, would he be strong enough to do it? Would he be able to do it doing crafting, or does he need muscle?
He's weak, but you've seen him in fighting off undead. If there's a horde of undead, he unleashes, a wave of white fire that kind of just washes over them.
I think she's asking you because of the gate.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's weak.
Okay. Yeah. So getting that note and seeing undead, danger, I'm okay, I know that Retinue Kasich can take care of himself that way, and I know that he's generally good with machinery, but this is mechanical, and if it's as rusted shut as mine it was, there's no way he's opening that. So I'm going to make my way to where he was headed.
Okay. Are you going to go through the city, or are you going to go along the palisade wall?
I think I'll actually, if Kasich went along the city, I'm going to go through the palisade wall.
Okay, so as you start going through the wall, there are areas that have collapsed. There are some places where you're actually going to have to leap over some cracks in the walls and blown out areas for where the cocoons had slammed through. You were... Being that you were a retinue, and you've been a retinue for a while, were you there when New Bolivar was struck as the meteor went over top? Or are you someone who came from somewhere else? Where is your character from? And actually, what do they look like?
Okay, so we'll say that where they were from. I actually want to say Cadra.
Catcher? Okay.
Yeah. As for how they look, Kassic's mask obviously has the space for the Volg beak.
Yeah.
Agrin's mask does not have that. So Agrin is very much like a tall, broad-shouldered, wearing full plate. It's probably like a darker gray, not black like the Inquisitor, but able to like not quite as flashy, a little bit more understated. There is some like golden inlay to match with the golden mask.
Sure.
But on her back is a scabbard, and it's currently empty because it's actually it's the thing it houses is a cold iron bastard sword.
Okay. So you have cold iron. Do you carry any ranged weapons?
In her pack, like you see she's got like an extra like a normal adventuring pack and then like a smaller, strangely kind of fanciful little pouch. But on her hip she actually has a very well made 6-shooter pistol. Or yeah, 6-shooter pistol.
And out of your gear, because of how Inquisitors and retinue work, a lot of their magical items, if they have magical items, are pre-sundering. They are old world magic, because they have found that dealing with fettered spirits and having to deal with keepers and all of the heretics and whatnot can be a weakness. So instead, they have reverted back to like old world tech for hunting these creatures down. Are any of your weapons or armor that's magical old world? Does that even have that kind of that look to it?
I would actually say the little pouch on her belt.
Okay.
It's well crafted. It does look older, like out of fashion, compared to what people wear nowadays. And I think the bastard sword probably does have that old world feel to it.
Okay. And for those who are watching, what I mean old world, they have the more traditional fantasy look to them, where they are like not Victorian era equipment. They are bolder, they have inscriptions on them, runes. They feel out of time, out of place. And then what does your mask look like? I think that's probably the most, since you can never see the face of a retinue member. What is your mask look like? I know we have an image there, but it's pretty small. Is there anything special? Right. Any scars, any wounds to it, anything like that?
I think the mask is actually, it looks like it was crafted from a perfect person.
Oh, really?
Like it's got like the little tusks for the half orc heritage, but other than that, like if it wasn't for that, you would think almost like Greek marble or Dragon Age with the Orlesians, who are the nobles.
Yep.
That's her mask.
I will, since I have them, I will I'll put a little bit bigger version of the tokens on the map so people can see what they look like. All right. So you follow along through the wall. There's these crack destroyed places. You see cocoons here and there. You're very observant. As you're going through, what is your passive perception, just so I know?
My passive perception is 25.
Okay, you're really good. You notice
if it's battle, then it goes up to a 27 because I've got the +2 initiative from fighter.
You notice almost all of the cocoons, the ones that are left, and there are a few that have not opened. Would you do anything specific with them as you're going by? Because you've dealt with Akata, you are trained, you would know the different pieces of an Akata, like what happens, how they function,
right?
9 yards.
So knowing that there are intact nests, for lack of a word right now, I would try to avoid them and like maintain that distance so that my body heat does not trigger them.
Okay. So you keep your distance, keep your torch low. Do you have a torch active, actually? Because you're a half-orc. You're using your dark vision instead?
I'm using my dark vision for right now. Like, at first, like, so she's got, like, the normal, like, hooded lantern, and then she also has an ever-burning torch, which doesn't really produce heat, but it produces its own energy, so she's not sure.
You would know
what
that
we
would be
find
fine. It is specifically when you have heat.
No, I meant, like, in general, not just the Akata part. Like, if there's
gotcha.
anything else in here that might be attracted to magical light versus normal light. So I think for right now, unless she needs to, she's relying on her dark vision.
So as you're kind of picking through with your dark vision, give me an athletics check to make it through all the gaps and stuff as you make your way over to Kasich. We'll get you two back together here, hopefully.
I got 23.
Okay. Make your way across, easily jumping those 3 to 4 foot gaps, leaving the ones in hibernation alone. And to yourself, the thing that's odd is usually when cocoons are in hibernation, they only stay in hibernation for, I don't know, a week or two, unless this place has been undisturbed. And knowing that, tracking where this heretic went, looking for broken Nicoil cocoons is probably a really good way to track down the heretic in the city.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
So as you make your way across to meet up with Kasich, Kasich at the top of the tower, these void creatures, these zombies, have kind of encircled the bottom. They have not made their way in, and what is 6 has now become closer to a dozen. So, with that said, I would assume that you've both worked together so much. You sent a message, and you have a feeling she would be making her way here. I think there's that level of, like, we have been a team for a while. We know how to function. So would you wait it out? Would you be screwing with the gears on your own? What exactly would Kasich be doing waiting for her to arrive?
So
the boom.
The gears are rusted, just like the...
Yours is actually missing the handle. So you know how they have the big handle you pull, the latch would come off of the cog and then it would start to spin, and you hear that clack, 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 clack. Yours doesn't have a piece to pull.
Damn. Funk.
You just hit it.
He's gonna pull the war lantern after inserting the war lantern into the missing piece.
And what piece of metal or what spike do you have on the bottom of yours right now?
Cold iron.
What?
Okay, so you put it in and you start prying. This is probably a good time to discuss what you look like and the fact you have a war lantern. Is there any old world looking magical items that you have? What does your mask look like? And I should explain, all retinue wear black robes with red edges. They keep themselves pretty clean, but you have been out in the field and literally out in the ghost wilds for some time, which is the lands outside of the cities that have been, taken back by the True Faith and by Kadra and the nation of Kadra. So what do you look like? What does Kasich wear?
Long black flowing robes with that red trim, and the hood is drawn up to cover most of the head behind the mask. Around his chest is an old world necklace of rubies that glint and catch the light, almost as though they themselves contain a little bit of fire in each one. Okay. The beak mask is very much counter to his counterparts. It's more plain featured, with the distinguishing markings being like gouges from being assaulted by zombies or Kadra, and each mark kind of has a lasting, distinct impression on the mask to give it character and history as to what he's been through. The belt pouch on his hip appears to be very masterfully crafted as well. And other than that, he doesn't appear to be carrying anything else.
Really? Okay.
There is a brooch that looks like a golden shield on his robes. And that kind of glints a little reflectively, a little old world. But yeah, War Lantern, pouch, rubies, brooch, robes. That's more or less it.
All right. So you hear the sound of your compatriot, the other retinue, making her path along the top of the palisades and then into your area. So Kelly, feel free to move your character over there, and you see the shadows of this dozen of people down below knocking. And they were looking at the tower he's in, where you would drop the gate. They have now turned to a building over here. Why is this not clicking? Over to the building here. And they are knocking on the door and they're pawing at the windows. And they're ignoring Kasich now.
So I couldn't see you ping anything. It's up here?
Correct.
Okay.
In the longhouse.
All right.
Did that ping show for you now?
Yeah, now it did.
So, what the two of you want to do? Kasich, you put it in, you're pulling on the War Lantern. You can give me an athletics check. I just don't think the Volg is strong enough. I mean, maybe you are. I don't know. Maybe you can get lucky 32s all day or 36s all day.
No. 19.
So you pull with all your might, like feet up, like getting weighed into it. The lantern flares a little bit as it's shaking as you're trying to get this to move, and it does not budge.
Yeah, as soon as it starts shaking, he's like, and he just waits.
Out.
He just waits like grumpily for his counterpart to arrive.
And as soon as you like pull it out and you turn, there's just this shadow of that tall retinue member behind you. The little bit of like red flare underneath the eyepieces that all of the masks have. And there's these void zombies pawing at a door about 40 foot below from where you both are.
Kasich, why don't you take your cold iron spike out of the mechanism?
No, he did. He pulled it out and he placed it. And as soon as he placed it is when you drop down.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So then I reach into that little red and gold threaded satchel, and I open it up and I dig in there a little bit and I pull out a crowbar.
Nice. That gives you a +2, doesn't it?
It actually negates the -2 that you might get from trying to pry something open.
So not as good as Nora's suspenders, but they
not as good as Nora's suspenders, but if it breaks, it's a crowbar. It's not a cold iron spike. That's more where
right.
Agri's getting like, why?
Right.
So
give me a roll.
Prepared as always, Agron. Nice. Very nice.
I'll take that 34.
Jesus. You stick it in and you pull and you like reach down and you grab the clasp that hits the cogs and just pull it up, and you hear the dividing some of the void spawn into the outside of the city, crushing 2 of them under the gate.
Is there a window to this keep?
They're open. There's shutters that can be closed, but they're kind of like a watchtower at the top, so you can look out into the fields and also back into the city.
Kasich will look back into the city and see what the situation is like at the base of the tower and at the longhouse.
Well, when the boom happens and it crushes down, the void creatures look up at the gate and look down at the 2 now disposed of void spawn, and the door opens to the longhouse as they do. There is a silhouette inside. The person's kind of hunched over. It whispers something to them in that same language that you do not know, Kasich. What about Agron? Agron know any languages that he doesn't know?
Those are the ones I know.
Hallow, and Cadra, I believe, or Cadraic.
I have Cadraic, Dread, Hollow, and Veritas.
No, neither. None of those either. And if they start speaking to each other, the void zombies look up, and then behind, down the hall here, there's a fire lighting up, and a magical like purplish light at the top of a small wand behind you. A woman, kind of hunched over, without the glowing pustules of the void zombies, looks out from the shadows of the hall behind, and she says, I don't know why you're in Lanningston. Lanningston is a dead city. Is there anything I can do for you, Hand of Flame?
Does she appear hostile or like on edge?
She's definitely keeping her distance from you. I'd say she's keeping a good, I don't know, 40 foot from you, and she's on the opposite side of a doorway that retinue Agrin had to come through to get into this tower. So she's keeping distance enough to where like she could shut the door to try to get away if she needed to.
Man, have you seen any new faces to this pleasant city? Besides, of course, us. That is.
Besides the spawn that have crawled from the crater below, no. I think I am the only resident left in Lanningston. My name is Mogosh. What brings you to this crumpled city?
If you know we're the Hand of Flame, then you know why we're here.
Yes.
Hunting heretics, I see. And she steps back even a little bit more into the shadow and makes sure her light's out in front of her so you can see her face, but she's definitely using the darkness to separate herself from you two.
Right. That's
Anything
what I
that you
say.
would
Like,
to do? Yeah,
and
she responded. Heretics.
Kesset kind of turns his head in her direction and goes,
Okay, what are you smelling for?
heresy.
smelling for heresy.
Yeah.
I don't know how you smell for heresy, but you could give me a perception check. I guess there's definitely some things that certain keepers would and followers of keepers would smell like. Give me a roll. I don't think heresy scent is a thing, but we're gonna roll with you at least sniffing the air.
25.
Since I have, before we wrap that, since I have dark vision and I have keeper lore, can I roll to see if I would notice anything?
Yeah, you can give me an actual perception check. Yes.
Oh, okay, cool.
I also have dark vision, but I like smelling things more.
Well,
Okay.
that makes one of us. We don't know if they have running water or soap here, so enjoy that.
Yummy.
I got a non-natural 20.
She is robed. She's wearing pretty worn clothes, like she's been here for a while. But you are able to see she is carrying a couple amulets underneath the robes. She's older. She looks like she's 60 plus. She's not walking with a cane or anything, but she is a little hunched over. Long, matted, almost big dread-like grayish hair. Inside of it, she has got beads and talismans hanging off of her hair, or woven inside of it. But you don't see any runes or symbols that would pull her out as being a heretic or a follower of a keeper. But I will say you see no true faith emblems on her.
Okay.
And what'd you get for your scent?
25.
There is a smell of dried flowers and decay in the air, which is natural. That smell of that like shaved iron, like you're in a blacksmith shop, hangs in all of the city. But once you kind of sort through that sniffing the air, you begin to pick up her scent. And her scent is one of a smell you don't smell often. Salt water. if you remember back from our episode when you fought Akata, salt water is what you can use to
Yeah.
harm Akata. So the scent does make sense for where you're
Defending
at, what's
against
going
it.
on. Yeah, you got it.
I see. You are a careful one. I respect that. Yes.
Living here is very difficult with the amount of spawn that are here. The Akata seem to keep multiplying and climbing from the crater. They have claimed Langingston as their home.
Good to know.
Is there anything I can do to assist you two? To get you out of here sooner? They say where retinue are, there's an Inquisitor, but I haven't seen one here yet. The spawn have not been attracted to anyone but you two.
If you wish to make the Inquisitor's acquaintance, I will be more than welcome. I'll be more than happy to escort you to him.
Oh, no. No desire to meet the man or the woman, or whatever they are. But I do wish to go back to my studies.
Then go back to your studies. We're not here for you.
No, but you are disturbing the creatures that claim this place as home, making my house unusable. And you do see the void spawn back to clawing at her longhouse again, even though she's not in there.
The person we're looking for might actually be the one making your studies more difficult. If you help us catch him, we'll be out of here sooner.
Yes.
Fine. How could I assist you then? Is there a place that a description of the person? Something I should know?
He's been touched.
The latest thing I've heard is a bit of gunfire. I assumed hunters in the area.
Interesting. Very interesting. He would be using firearms. He touched.
At least so long as he still retains his mind.
Yes, he's been touched by the tides, you see.
I see.
He is an air marshal of
Hello.
some repute. In case you've seen a man in finery running around here.
I have found some of these void creatures with holes in them, quite large. I assumed them to be dead prior to me taking up residency here, but if you wish to follow, I can show you.
Lead the way.
With my perception of 25,
Mhm.
does she seem like she's being truthful? Since
She
she would
seems
have
very leery of being anywhere within striking distance of you two.
to. Okay.
And she's definitely trying to keep objects between her and both of you. She knows what comes with them. She's either had dealings or read before. She does seem older. There's nothing really out of sorts. She is just as uncomfortable as anyone else would be with two retinue staring them down.
Okay.
That's probably the best way to explain her level of comfort right now.
Well, it was more like beyond that. Is she trying to walk us into a trap, like that kind of stuff?
No,
Like,
I mean,
not that I can tell. That, I mean, if she is, that's fine. It's just like that was what I was looking for more with that.
no, nothing like that. Just more of a keep your distance kind of feel.
Right.
So she would make her way down the palisade, pretty good distance, and then when you passed the corner, there was a ladder leading down into the city area over here.
Okay.
And she would make her way towards the ladder. Let me move our camera. So I'm assuming you two follow. Are you leaving those void zombies down below just to do what they're doing since they're really not your job? Or are you going to dispose of them? What do the two retinue want to do? And you can see her purple light travel down the hall.
They're not impeding the investigation. There's no reason to go out of my way.
No, they're not an immediate threat right now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Agrin doesn't see them as an immediate threat either. She actually thinks they might be potential bait or unintentional help in taking down this heretic, so she's fine to let them stand for now.
Okay. All right. So as you follow through, we'll take you to the bottom of the ladder, out into the city, and she is going to walk you across the bridge and into the road heading towards the temple. Along the way, she says, this person you are seeking, have they done something wrong to the true faith?
Their mere
Wrong.
existence is an affront to the true faith, but if you mean in terms of harming people, they are losing to the tides.
I see. The tides do horrible things to people. And she looks over, and the tides are washed up almost to street level right now on the northern side. And she says the creatures, they sleep and slumber and hide within the riverbed. The Akata, I pick my path carefully, but I will say there has been more Akata in the city the last few days than there was previously. And in the distance, you hear the mill power on and go, 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 choo, 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 choo. And you're knowing the Inquisitor must be off that way doing their job. Sure enough, you see the tide start to fall back into the riverbed as what was the water wheel starts pushing the tides out of the city.
Would you mind telling us where these Akata have started becoming more active?
And she points to the building, the large one, just to the north of you.
Okay.
The temple has the True Faith symbol at the top. And it's got the four hands with the diamond in the middle at the top of it. There are banners that are all destroyed and burned up on the sides. The building itself is of a different make. It doesn't match the rest of the city. Instead of being just the base, being granite, the entire building is this black and green, deep-toned granite with gold striations through it. She says that building is what the True Faith was using as a temple before the meteor. There are cocoons hanging in the bell tower and surrounding the back of the building, touching the wall into what I believe was once the mayor's home. It is full of cocoons. And she kind of makes her way out to the corner, and sure enough, as you round that bend, you can see this whole back half is just full of stacked cocoons and webbing, like a sloped wall. There must be dozens of them. Your fire would probably be a bad idea here.
Yes.
She kind of nods. She says it would be a good place to hide if I was trying to stay away from your wrath. Yes? Wouldn't it?
I suppose.
If I were to offer you a trinket, would you leave me be here?
I'm hesitant to trust a trinket from a resident of a place like this.
She would look to the other retinue member. And you? Would you leave me be here?
So... I don't...
Your retinue, you guys are above and beyond the law to a certain extent, especially out in the Ghost Wilds.
Well, I'm trying to the reason I'm pausing is I'm trying to get like a feel for who's the good angel and who's the bad angel on Inquisitor Pyre's shoulders.
I mean, it doesn't have to be good or bad. It could just be.
Well, you know what I mean. More aggressive, less aggressive. I feel
It's up to you two. I mean, you can make that call right now if you want.
Yeah, Kasich, how do you see us? Do you see us as like your worst cop? Like I'm bad cop, you're worst cop?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kasich is definitely evil and definitely kind of pushes the Inquisitor's buttons a little towards burning everything to ash.
So she ran into bad cop, worst cop. And if worst cop is saying, I wouldn't trust anything, but isn't making any moves to get rid of her, then just bad cop, Agrin would just kind of shake her head.
Well,
I would be more inclined to leave you alone if you did not provide me a trinket that could be proof of heresy.
oh, I did not make this. I found this here. It would be an offer of help to the true faith.
Yeah, the reason I phrased it that way is I figured like that was the good cop part. Like,
Yeah. I know.
It's a heretical trinket. I'm going to kill you if it's. So don't give it to me.
She's saying I do not use this trinket. It is a heretical trinket. I believe that the true faith, the Hand of Fire, should have it for disposal. Right? Isn't that how it works? I'm offering up heresy so that you can see my belief in the faith.
Agrin could see underneath the cloak like the ruffling of feathers.
Okay. And isn't it like a big bright red mane?
Yeah. It's not showing until they're ruffled and they kind of puff up around the mask.
Okay.
As the heretical trinket
back.
is fucking being offered, it's like,
I would recommend that you leave with haste.
And with me being the bad cop, I would say leave that here so that we may take it and dispose of it properly, and then leave with haste.
Of course. She reaches down into pulls her robes aside. She's got a gown on. It is in disarray, but it's been patched. Like it's well worn but tended to. She reaches into a small leather pouch and she pulls out a handkerchief that is wrapped.
That's why I asked her to put it where she was.
Yep,
as she reaches for it, the lantern that he's holding grows like bright red, and sparks begin kind of hitting against the internal glass.
I need a new perception check for the both of you then, if there is a new light brought into the area.
How? Because I'm like, retinue Kasich, stay your weapon.
Yep.
And he's like,
Still need a perception check.
I got a 29.
31.
Behind her, when the light kind of flares, you can see cocoons along between these two buildings. And you start to see strands pop as that lantern starts to cause heat.
Retinue Kasich, stay your weapon.
And she
just
stops.
He like clanks it on the ground and the light darkens and dims back to normal.
So she stops and she's like, it is folded. I keep it in a water-soaked towel. And sure enough, it does look damp, and it's like a handkerchief that you would wrap something in. And she wraps it and she sets it on like a barrel outside of the building. And it's a pretty good sized trinket. She says, this is a holy symbol to, I believe, the once followed keeper here. And she sets it down.
Ma'am, when you make haste, please be careful and not run into the alleyway behind you.
Oh, I know that all of the buildings here are the safe paths.
Well, we don't want you to agitate them any further than they've already been agitated. And I look behind her, like I'm pointedly looking behind her at the popping.
Mm-hmm. She says, I do not give off heat because I do not carry a torch. And she just holds, she has that like a black stick that's kind of crooked with a purple light on the top of it. I am one of, I use magic light here to keep myself safe instead of torch or lantern. I recommend you do the same. She leaves it there and she backs away a little bit. And you see on her hip, as she turns, 2 small metal cages, like hanging off her belt. And she turns and says, I will leave you be. She starts making her way back down the street. Unless you're stopping her or doing anything.
What's
Can
in the
we roll?
box?
I was gonna say, what's in the
What's
cages?
in the cages?
It goes back over it. They seem empty. Maybe like some plants and vines are on one of them or like flowers in them, but you don't get a really good look at them unless you stop her to investigate her. Because she just kind of turns and you get a quick glimpse and that's it. And a little bit of the rattle of the cages hitting against each other.
She's not our main target right now, Kasich.
You're right, Egron, but
And if she is not careful, she will run into the Inquisitor.
She wanders off this way.
Yeah, she's walking off that way, but I'm basically trying, like, I'm doing this to try and calm him down a little bit.
Oh, I know. And she disappears into the shadow. So the tides, they go back into the riverbed, giving you a little bit more reprieve from anything happening. And then one of those mechanical birds fly, or actually his would be fire. A fire-like bird flies and lands next to you on the ground, and there is 2 of the Hand of Flame reliquaries, which is that fist with the ruby in the center, sealed. And they're sitting on the ground. You all would know that he's obviously either killed or found some souls and fettered them into Inquisitor reliquaries, which have that Hand of Faith fist that kind of collapses around the gem to hold them. They almost look like metal, like flat cut metal palms, and they wrap around the gem when they've been used. And they have little chains at the top so you can hook them to your belt or however it is you wish to carry them. There are 2 of them.
I would actually think Kasich has a belt with specific loops around them to hang the reliquaries
Almost all
off of
retinue
them.
do.
Yeah. So he'll like clip them on.
Okay. And
good.
who is going to approach the trinket, as she said, left behind?
I will approach it.
All right. So when you approach the trinket, and it is wet, and does actually wet the top of the barrel that it is sitting on. How are you going about investigating this item, this piece?
Don't really have any. Well, I could. Let's see.
So, casting a spell, are you gonna open it up? How do you want to go about doing it, since it is kind of a dangerous, or could be dangerous piece?
So she put it on the top of a barrel?
Yeah, barrel, and like water is kind of leaked out of the handkerchief that it's wrapped in.
Can I just take the barrel?
It's like a big like water barrel.
I'm 18 strength. Can I just take the barrel?
Yeah, well, you're gonna carry a barrel with 2 hands the entire time?
Like how? Like is it? Well, because So what I wanted to do was, because she'd put it there and because the egg started cracking kind of behind her, I wanted to go first to grab it and bring it back over so that Kasich could take a better look at it.
You want to move it away from the cocoons?
Yes, that's what I wanted
absolutely.
to do.
Yeah, you can just pick the barrel up, move it. It is heavy. There's some sloshing in it, but you can definitely move the barrel. You don't have to worry about anything for that.
I wasn't
Gotcha.
planning on
I thought you
carrying
were
the
just like,
barrel the
I'm gonna
entire
put the barrel
time.
on my back and carry the whole thing.
I'm just gonna Donkey Kong it.
So yeah, you can absolutely move that barrel into more the center of the street, away from everything.
Yeah, that's more what I wanted to do, because especially if his magics involve flame and fire, I don't want him doing that right there.
So you're getting to a safe distance, hoping not to be within that hibernation distance to set them up.
Right.
Gotcha. All right, so you move it off into the center of the street. These streets are old cobblestone, but they've been kind of washed over with like that black oily sheen from the tides coming out too far. Dirt is kind of rested. There's debris all over the place from destroyed buildings. But the buildings, are in better shape than Merrifield. How do you want to go about opening this handkerchief? What are you two doing?
Kasich, if there are any spells that you would like to cast beforehand, otherwise I will unwrap it if you want to move back.
And Kasich will kind of look up at the light in the war lantern, and he breathes in, and the war lantern's light dims as some of that light gets sucked into beneath the mask, and then in the eye slits of the mask, they begin glowing as he casts Detect Magic.
Okay. Give me your Arcana check for spellcraft. Arcana for the use of spellcraft.
Oh, I think I'm going to use a hero point.
All right. I almost wrote down Nora and Oliver. Okay.
Okay, marginally better. Marginally. 21.
All right. So as you're looking over it, there's a faint aura coming out from the handkerchief. You're going to have to get a pretty close investigation on this because the light coming out alone isn't enough to tell what it is. I will let you know that the aura on it is transmutation.
Hmm.
You need to get a closer look and unwrap it to know anything else.
So I think Kasich knows that I'm probably one of the retinue who doesn't have like a fire burning torch, so I bring out like my ever burning, the non-heat
Sure.
magical one. For when we unwrap it. That way we can get a better look at it without activating the cocoons.
Kasich kind of like
unwrapping
ruffles his shoulders to flatten his feathers as he kind of moves up to look down at the wrapping, waiting for Egron to unwrap it.
All right.
Okay. So I've got the torch in one hand, and I put the bastard sword away, and I unwrap the trinket.
All right. So as you unwrap it, the light gets bright, and it is transmutation, and the underlying aura is evocation. As you see this circle with a line through the middle of it, and it is carved out of burnt wood. And I need reflex saves from both of you. It'll be a little bit easier.
I was the one who is going to open it.
Yep, from both of you. It'll be a little easier because you brought the barrel with you.
Is this a reflex save for something? Sorry, I'm not used to having cool armor.
I think this is... Yeah, we're going to go
Would this be a damaging effect?
100%.
Cool. I get a +3 modifier instead of my dexterity bonus.
I don't have any of that cool stuff. I got 21.
All
So
right.
it's gonna be 11, 14. 22.
All right. 22, and what was yours again, Alan?
21.
I rolled bad.
So as you unwrap it, that circle that's on it starts to glow brightly, and it warms, and you start to hear the barrel with the liquid that's in it bubble. And there's a boom as a fireball emanates from the symbol on this keeper medallion and blows out. Now, I know you guys are probably either immune or resistant to fire. The damage is 30. You needed a 20 for half. And then if you have any form of fire resistances, feel free to describe that as this ground zero fireball goes off.
I surprisingly don't have any.
No.
But I made the half, so.
Okay.
And you said how much was it originally?
30. So 15.
30, 15.
What about you, Kasich?
There's a ring on Kasich's finger with a ruby insert that glows bright, and some of that fire travels towards it.
Okay.
But it's only 5 points.
Still sucks some up. As it goes out in the distance, you hear the boom, and then it resonates and it shoots down some of the walls and into some of the alleys. And then in the distance, you hear that clack, 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 of the north gate getting closed. When that explosion goes off, silence after the of the fire snapping back. You start hearing the thing, 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 like you are cutting a golf ball, cutting the rubber bands as some of the cocoons start to burst. Shoot, 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 shoot.
Well, now she's on my list.
What is the?
I told you we should have dealt with her. I didn't really say that, but I gave the vibe, yes.
So as it blows up, the liquid on the ground is like old, turned water and fish, like sky fish, that has been like pickled, and it like fills the street as you start seeing eyes peering out of the different cocoons breaking in the alleys. What do you want to do?
Fire.
I'm gonna follow her.
She disappeared in the
I know where she
shadows.
went. I'm gonna try and track her. Fuck it.
Okay. Give me a roll survival to try.
Bad cop just went angry cop. I'm gonna use a hero point for that.
Okay. I will mark
Because I
one
want
for
her
you.
badly. That's a 25.
So you dash down the road as the eyes start to come out behind you. Kasich, do you follow her?
Absolutely. Kasich wants a piece of this.
Makes sense to me. As you get to about here. Oh, wrong one. Hold on here. As you get to about right where that blue ping is, right here,
Okay.
the tracks, there's like where you have footprint where she walked away. There is a swirl where like all of the footprints from there west are gone. And since you had detect magic up, I will tell you there is a faint sense of magic that dissipates as it breaks down the alley over here.
Kasich will also like assist by using his nose to follow the salt water.
I was actually gonna say, like, as you catch up, I'm like, can you still smell the salt water on her?
Yeah.
As you track, you like I said, you can see that it went this way. There's a little of salt water. You hear the Akata behind you start to crawl out of the cocoons and around the corners, and the low lion-like snarls start to echo, and other ones are growling. But it's not communication. It's just the sound of them awakening. Because as you know, they are deaf. They cannot hear anything. They only sense heat. Are you going to move your way up to that alley?
Yeah. I'm gonna try and be stealthy about it too.
Okay. Kasich, what about you? And if so, are you snuffing out your lantern to do that?
Like I
Kasich
put
will
my-
do two things, actually.
I put my ever burning torch away. And I like draw my cloak up around myself, and then I unsheathe my bastard sword.
What's this small building next to us made out of?
All of them have that granite base and then brick above them. So like the foundation stone is granite, that blackish green granite. But all the granite on the lower levels has got that oily rainbow sheen from tides lapping up against them. As you're guessing, the tides come up all the way across the street to the front of those buildings. The top is brick, shutters, and then clay rooftops.
So Kasich will take out like a flask of oil and just shatter it against like a building wall down an alleyway.
Okay.
And then he'll fling his war lantern, and the flame leaves through the glass as he tosses that flame into the fire to ignite it.
All right. Produce flame, I assume?
Yep.
So
Wait,
boom.
are
there's
you
a-
doing that behind us,
Yep.
Kasich? Okay.
Where would you like that at? I will put a little fire on the map for you.
Right there.
Okay, back where they're coming from then.
Yep.
All right. You can definitely do that. What did you get for your stealth there, Angren?
Didn't roll it yet. I'm gonna do it now.
Give me your
I was
roll.
busy just confirming where the flames were going. Just like,
course.
oh no.
I'm going to use a hero point.
Right here. Alan?
I'm gonna take that 22.
I will keep that hero point at 31.
All right, 22 and 31.
I got a 22. Keep in mind, Alan,
right
I don't
there.
have any training in stealth.
Kasich does.
And my dex is 1. But
That's
I still get a
impressive.
+8 to my roll.
And then, is that where you wanted your fire?
Yeah.
Okay. As that happens, you throw it, and there's a boom, boom. You see some of them start rolling around in the fire as tendrils are on fire. They're coming out in the street on fire as these blue lion-like tentacle-maned dogs, or lions, I should say, ignite and start falling over in the city. As you round your way to the corner, there is a boom of a sound of a rifle going off from somewhere north of you, and you can hear it strike something in the distance. I should move him over to the north gate since that's where he is. And then there's silence again. Who's trained in using martial weapons here?
Me.
And then I'm assuming the War Lantern would be one of a favorite items for the Hand of Fire.
Hand of Fire, yeah. Bastard Sword
Bastard Sword and the War.
And War Lanterns
Lantern.
are favored weapons for that domain.
Then as a cleric, I am trained in a War Lantern.
Well, War Lantern, not martial weapons. That's specific. That's a favorite
I'm trained in
weapon.
martial.
Okay.
All right. You know that shot that went off is 100% a Skyhunter rifle.
Okay.
And it came from somewhere north of you.
Okay.
Are you following into the alley with your stealth?
Yes.
All right. So as you both move into this,
I'm angry now.
as you both move into this dark alleyway, there is a cellar door that is open. The cobwebs have been cut from it. There are 3 of those Akata-like creatures roaming around the door. One is getting ready to step down into the cellar. They don't seem to take notice from you, but when that fire has exploded, both their heads perk up and they look back in the direction where he did the produce flame. Smart on you, they go running by you. I do not perceive you. The lowest one, the 22, beat me by 1 as they run by both of you hiding in the alleyway. You can feel the tentacles even brush and hit your robes as they run through. Are you pursuing?
Not
Going
my
into
circus,
the cellar?
not my
What do you want
problem.
to do?
Going in. I'm going after her.
All right. So as you go into the basement, another shot rings out in the city. Boom. And you go into the cellar. The cellar is tight and small. Yes, Kasich, go ahead.
Before Casso, Agron starts going down. Kassich's stationary for a moment. He's like,
Agron, should I check on the Inquisitor, or do you need my assistance?
She's tricky. She's a tricky one. I don't think the Akata are going to pose a threat to Inquisitor Pyre. Eric, when I hear that boom, is that a distinctive boom?
Yeah, I said Skyhunter rifle.
Well, no, but I know that part. But does our Inquisitor carry a Skyhunter?
No, he does not. He carries a glaive, a heavy crossbow, a flail, some daggers, and I think that'd be about it. He has no firearms on him. Because they are known for igniting themselves on fire, carrying things with gunpowder usually isn't the best idea.
Well, that changes my answer then. So, I hear the first boom, and then I hear another one. And I'm like, he doesn't carry a Skyhunter, so it's either some other scavenger in this godforsaken city, or it's our target. Do we want to leave the lady of the house with a present as I pull out a flask of oil?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, this is a good thought.
Did that trinket, when she gave us that trinket, did it explode? And, it's gone now?
It's charred wood, so when the fireball went off and the things came out, it's up to you if you grab the burning ember that was there or if you left it. That's up to you. I don't care.
I would have.
Okay.
I
you
mean,
would have grabbed it, burning ember. You would have taken 1 point of damage for grabbing because it's hot.
Yeah, that's fine.
But it is still intact. And it's about this big. It's a pretty big round amulet. It's almost like it looks like the knot of a tree that was cut off and then branded with that symbol on it.
So, Kasich, I'm thinking oil and then toss this back on her front doorstep. Uncovered.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we're doing.
I'm not opposed to that. All right, so you ignite it, toss it. I'm assuming into the cellar,
Yep.
like to light the doors on fire and stuff.
Yep.
So the oils that Inquisitors use are a little different than normal. If you throw a flask, normally they're just a 5-foot radius explosion. They are 10-foot instead when using Inquisitor, like alchemist fires. They're made to catch things fire and burn. So much so that the fire ignores hardness of objects. This stuff is almost like napalm or thermite.
Napalm.
Yeah. And it sticks, whoosh, and the whole area lights. Inside in common, you hear a young woman's voice. No, don't, she's left me down here. Don't burn me alive down here. It does not sound like her. It does sound like someone else.
I'm going to go check on the Inquisitor.
And he leaves.
Wait up for me, Kasich. As Agrin leaves.
Help! As you just close the cellar doors and let the fire burn.
Oh, as I close it, I'm like, I was told that trinket should be of assistance. You should talk to the old woman about that. And I close the door on her as I walk away.
You walk away, the voice, you can hear it in the distance as you round the corner, and there's another boom of a Sky Hunter rifle going off again. Where do you want to go? Knowing you're head back down the street, you're going to be heading into the Burning Akata and maybe other ones. Not that they are a dire threat to you. Which way would you go?
Can we go on the Palisades? Or is this Palisades here, or is it like a different wall
if you
type?
climb around and go inside, there's probably ladders on the inside.
Yeah,
They
I
wouldn't
would
be
do
on the
that.
outside because then you could just storm the castle. You know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah, but I mean, that's
Sure.
any way for us to get in. That's where I would
So
go.
as you round the corner, and am I right to say that Agrin usually goes first for everything like climbing up the wall, stuff like that?
Yeah.
Does that seem pretty
That
correct?
seems pretty fair. Yeah.
All right. So as you climb up, there's a fourth boom that goes off, and as you hit the top of these, the towers on the outside of the city are about 40 foot. These are 60. It's very tall in this area, and you can hear the boom, and then you can see debris fall off the wall over at the northeast gate.
Can Kasich roll perception to see where the booms are coming from?
If a fifth shot goes off, yes. This last one that went off, you just know they're coming from the north. When you get to where you are now, east somewhere. If you wait for another shot, the difficulty will be lower. If you want to roll now to kind of get a bearing, the difficulty will be higher because it's just ringing through the city at this point.
He'll wait for a fifth shot. As he's not standing still, but as he's moving, he'll keep his ears out.
All right. All right. So as you round the corner, I'm assuming Angrun is following as well.
Yes.
All right. All right. As you both follow around the wall, that fifth shot does ring out, and it's deafening. And you know, I'm assuming with the passive perceptions, do you both have over a 20?
You both have 25, I think.
We both have 25.
Okay. So with your perceptions that you have, it is coming from the front tower on the church,
Okay.
on the temple. When you look down between you, the wall you're on, and that church, that 60 foot is basically the same height as the back of the church. But you can see it's just full of cocoons down through. Then they flow out south into that opening between the building to the south and the church itself. What do you two want to do?
A feathered hand comes up and gets placed on Agrin's shoulder. He's like,
The hand of fire will guide your sword, Agron.
he'll cast heroism on Agrin.
And the hand of fire will lift my feet.
He'll clank his fucking staff as his feet glow red, and he begins stepping off of the palisade onto the air as he begins walking on air.
As you walk on air to the southeast where you had thrown that produced flame, those buildings have ignited and are burning, and smoke plume is starting to form. Floating across onto the church, it is tri-roofed, so the ones that are on the north and south are lower. The one in the middle is at about a 70-foot peak. This bell tower is at about 100, and this is at 60. And then the two front ones are about at that 60, 70-foot mark as well. And as you float across, can you fly, or do you just have the ability to, what are you using, levitate right now?
It's called airwalk,
Oh,
and it's
airwalk.
literally my walking speed or my movement
Yeah.
speed as I'm walking on air.
Do you have to land in between, or can you just keep going?
I can just keep going as long as the spell's active.
Okay. And what
So
about
then-
Agron?
I'm assuming I'm doing athletic checks
Yep.
to
it would be
try and
athletics
get
go
over-
across.
to where I need to be. So,
Yep. I didn't know if you were pulling a rifle and getting ready to take aim or anything instead. That's why I was asking. Or if you want to be toe-to-toe with whatever this is.
I mean, I can't really see what it is from. I can't really see what it is from there, right?
No, if you move over to this corner here, like further
Okay.
down the wall, you'll probably be able to see into the tower.
Okay,
This
so
blocks
what
view.
what do I see when I look in there?
Once in a while, you'll see a black silhouette inside the tower of what you're guessing the Skyhunter rifle is, and you'll see the person come up and take aim across, and the person who's here is tracking along the walls to the northeast.
I'm gonna give
Hear
him a new
a
target.
sixth shot go off.
I'm not giving him another target. I'm gonna go and try and go toe to toe. So I'm gonna
Okay.
do some athletic checks to get up
Give me
there.
an athletic check to make your way to the tower.
28.
28. So as you run across the rooftops, and on the other side, the camera kind of cuts around to the front of the building as it sees Kasich floating and kind of hopping from one rooftop to the higher level rooftop, flying his way up. As you guys are both making your way up the tower, one with Agron climbing it up the ladder that's on the outside, and the other one with Kasich kind of making their way up and around through flight. At the top of the tower, there is a robed individual, armored underneath. He's got a cloak on, the hood pulled up. It's a dusty gray with blue. They have the rifle sitting and aiming out across, and it is a Skyhunter with a scope. Is he's getting ready to take that 7th shot. I would need initiative between the three of us to see if I can take my shot before you get to act. I'm not going to put a thing on the screen for it. We'll just roll, and I'll write it down today. And they did that great.
Fuck.
I have
I
a
only-
23.
I got 26.
I have a 17.
I was disappointed in that 26, but now I feel better that they got a 23.
Yeah, I have a 17.
Dude, with my bonuses right now, I've got a plus 18 to my initiative. Like, that's why
Feels
I'm
good
like,
to be 7th level, doesn't it?
yeah.
Also, heroism gives you like a +1 of fucking almost
Why-
everything.
But yeah, so I'm like, yeah, this will be easy. Bow.
All right. So as you're first up, outrunning and out climbing his flight, making your way up the tower.
In
you
full
can
plate.
In full plate, too. You hop over the ledge into the room they're in. It's a pretty big sized tower, probably, I don't know, 10 by 10 roughly, because it kind of comes out over. As you hop over it, you see the person turn back. And I'm going to give you a picture of what the face of this individual looks like. As they turn back in the hood, there's sunken eyes and like wisps coming from the mouth. While it does look, for those watching, looks like Sky Marshal Douglas, Oliver's trainer, there's something off about him. His skin is pale, it's gray. There's no lesions on him like the Void Zombies, but his mouth is missing teeth. His lips are almost like sucked into his face as he's withered now. The color of his eyes, that storm gray, are still there, but any resemblance of who he is seems to be lost. As you hop over the wall, it turns and makes eye contact with you.
Okay.
You immediately can feel it drawing the life force from you. But you go first. What would you like to do?
Let's see.
And I'm going to put a picture on screen for this horrible creature.
All right. So spell ends.
I'll make it large so people can see it as well.
So I think my first action. So this entire time, Egrin's been just like running. Like she's got the shield, but it's kind of like been like attached more to like her backpack and stuff, and she hasn't really undone it while she's been running around, especially with the climbing. So I guess as she did the climbing, like she was kind of doing the climbing like with the sword in one hand and then kind of like muscling her way up. So she gets up there and she uses her first action to say, "Father, protect me," and then like a red shield like pops out of nowhere.
Okay.
And she gets ready to attack.
That's awesome that you can
Casting
do that.
casting the shield cantrip.
Gotcha.
And that action counts as raising my shield action. So I get a +1 on my armor.
Okay.
Then, because I haven't actually played a fighter to this level, I'm just double checking what I can do.
Everything.
Controlled attack. Activate. How do presses work? I'm sorry, exacting strike.
How does what work?
Press actions. Press is only once, right?
Correct.
Follow up earlier attacks. Okay, never mind. So I can only use if I've already done it. Okay, so the first attack, I'm going to slice at him with my bastard sword. 18.
Let me show this to you so
19.
you can see it. This is what the face of the creature looks like.
Okay. So +19. I got 31.
Holy crap. Yeah. That's pretty good. And since I didn't go first, you definitely can see it.
Okay. Not a crit though, right?
No, it is not a crit.
Okay, that's fine. I'm doing it two-handed, so it actually goes up to 2d12.
Okay.
7. 11 and 9, 20, 27 points of damage.
Holy shit. You hit like a brick shithouse.
Cold iron. Magical. I don't know if that affects anything. I'm just letting you know.
It doesn't seem to react to, but you do strike true, cleaving hard in as he puts his arm up, and it hits bone, but he's strong enough to stop it from like pushing it down.
Okay.
And
So
how many points
then-
did you say that was?
That was 27.
Okay.
Then I am under the attack penalty, multiple attack penalty.
Yep.
So now I'm going to use my exacting strike.
Okay.
I make a controlled attack, fully accounting for my momentum. I make a strike. The strike gains the following failure effect. This attack does not count towards my multiple attack penalty.
Okay.
Not that it would necessarily matter for this one,
Right.
but it's more for me getting used to doing it, actually. Let me roll the
Right,
correct
right.
dice. That's 19. I got a 34 on that one.
34 hits, not a crit though.
Okay. 9, 7,
This seems appropriate.
23 points of damage.
Okay, you hit him again, striking hard. As you cock back that second time and bring it across his chest, he takes the hit, and you can see underneath his robes, he is wearing Air Marshal's armor. He's got a breastplate on with a shoulder on the one side. He does have metal plates down his arm as well from bracers.
Okay.
You have any more actions left? Or is that 2 actions?
I used them all up. I got the shield. I got my 2 hits.
So he turns and makes eye contact in Cadraic with this almost echoey, hollow tone to him. He says, "Retinue, I have been waiting." So I'm going to use Death Gaze on you. I need a Fortitude save.
Fortitude.
Don't forget your +1 from heroism.
I mean, I'll take a 34.
All right.
I got 19 on the die. So
he stares at you. You feel yourself start to weaken and shrug it off. You wouldn't get a knowledge because those are actions in this now. So that was my action. That was, how many does that take? That's 2 with my third. When I realize you don't go down, he springs into action, striking at you with his fist.
okay.
I hit a 23.
No.
It hits your armor and glances off. The blow hard enough to where it slides you a few inches back.
Okay.
And then that would go to Kasich. Kasich, as you fly around the front of the tower, you've given the Inquisitor reprieve. He is now running across the top of the buildings outside of the tower. What would you like to do? Move us closer.
Lie down, Air Marshal, and submit to the hand of fire. Lie down, Air Marshal, and submit to the hand of fire. Lie down, Air Marshal, and submit to the hand of fire.
And Kasich is going to cast Command on the Air Marshal to drop prone.
What type of tags does that have at the top for the spell?
Do. Got to open up the book.
Auditory, linguistic, and mental is what it says in
Mental?
Roll20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Okay. Yeah, I have to actually make a save. Will, you said?
Yeah, it shouldn't be 12. It's not calculating my proficiency.
So I have a will.
It's
I
23.
hit 31.
Okay.
Out of like the corner of his eye, at the corner of his sockets, he can see you looking back. He just smirks this hollow gaze. As the smoke starts to trail out of his face, part of it starts going towards both retinue members. Do you have another action you'd like to do, Kasich?
He will move a little further away towards the center of the street.
Okay. So that's your last action?
Yeah, and he's about 100 feet off the ground.
All right. The tower is only 60. If you go too high, you're trying to shoot down through a roof.
He's 70 feet off the ground.
Okay, just enough to be within line.
Yeah.
And that takes us back to Agron. This thing hits hard. Wearing the Air Marshal symbols, the hair is kind of withered. Pieces are even falling out as he's combating, fighting against you. The bleak has taken him over.
Okay. Trying to see if I have any other cool fighter stuff. It counts as 2 attacks on multi.
I didn't know if Kasich wanted to make a religion check on what the creature is.
Huh.
Instead of flying around. Just do it next round.
It counts as 2 attacks.
Yeah.
No, I won't do that one yet. I'm not a dumb cookie. I'm not a smart cookie, but I do have trained in religion, so I will take one action to do a recall knowledge
Okay.
on religion.
Probably smart.
I got a natural 20. Of course, that's what I get my natural 20 on, but I got a natural 20.
The bleak that has hit him, the bleakness, he has been slowly, and he has fought this off for a long time, but turned into a Bodak. Bodak is usually when a living creature or sentient humanoid is exposed to an extreme expression of supernatural evil. The experience can pretty much damn the victim and turn them into this appalling, unholy transformation by actually ripping their mind out of their soul and leaving this hostile thing behind. It has sores and wounds on it, probably from taking damage and not realizing it. They start to get fragmented memories of existence, but it's filtered through this vengeful hatred. They create other Bodaks, and this is the bad part. If you die to its cold, like red ember gaze, it will turn you into a Bodak as well. That's the biggest thing with the 20. Draining glance is their other thing. When they strike a living creature, they can perceive almost like an abandoned how healthy something is. And they also heal every time they hit someone. But the most important thing is they have a vulnerability to sunlight. What would you like to do?
So the thing that, okay, so just recap on the soul. The soul, you said that the soul is taken and replaced by something else?
No, the mind is pulled and the soul is left behind.
There's an echo going on. It was when Kelly was talking.
I don't have anything. I've just got my headset on.
Okay, it's gone now. That was weird.
Okay.
The mind is probably gone, replaced, and then the soul becomes a vengeful. Soul's twisted.
What would you like to do?
Vengeful. I think at this point, like, obviously being quiet is not an option for this combat, so I'm going to shout over to Kasich. Sunlight, as I take my first action.
All right.
Or take my second action to try and strike at this Bodak.
Give me that roll.
I think I say, sunlight, it's a Bodak! Right, and that's like when the guttural, like, half-orc comes out. I only got a 28.
It does not hit. He parries the blow with his armored, the bracer on his left arm, and he cocks back. You can see he's ready to strike again. Get a third attack. What would you like to do?
I'm going to do the exacting strike again.
All right, give me a roll.
I know I should be using this now, but that's okay. That was a 27. That doesn't hit, right?
Nope. Hit him again, and he kind of walks through. It glances off of the shoulder cough that goes around his neck, and he steps in close to you. I'm going to strike once. 32.
That hits.
Not a crit, or is it a crit?
No.
All right.
Not a crit.
He does 5, 6, 7, 13 points of bludgeoning damage and 1 point of negative energy. As you see the last blow that you hit against him start to like smoke and smolder and heal up.
Okay.
All right. Next attack. I'm going to turn back and gaze out. How far from the tower are you? I know you're 70 foot, but what distance away do you want to be?
Right now I'm 40 feet away.
Okay. He looks back to you. You see his eyes narrow, and he then turns and strikes 2 more times at the other retinue member. The second attack is a 28. The third one is a 15.
So he attacked me twice?
Yep.
2 more times?
Yep.
First, the second one hit, the third one did not.
All right, so 11 points of bludgeoning and 4 points of negative energy.
Okay.
As he pounds once.
I'm looking pretty rough.
Comes in and grabs a hold of your breastplate, and you can feel him begin to like lift you off the ground. Like if he goes next round, he's probably gonna toss you out of the building. You can feel him trying to edge you to the balcony or off the ledge.
Okay.
That then takes us to Kasich. Kasich, you see he's got a hold, grabbing a hold of Agrin. Oh, I should say, what is your fort defense? I have to make sure I actually did grab you.
My fort defense is 25.
Okay, so that 27 will grab you. So she's grabbed. Kasich, what would you like to do?
Yeah, 25.
Ooh, our music. I didn't even cue that. It just did it.
Well, I mean, I told you what it was.
Uh-huh.
Kasich will reach into his bag of holding and pull out a daylight lantern.
All right. You pull out a daylight lantern. So one
and
action.
he moves in. With the rest of his actions, he's going to move in close to the Bodak with a daylight lantern like held out.
And you turn it on. 60-foot daylight emanates, filling the area. When exposed to direct sunlight, the Bodak can't use actions with the death trait and becomes slow to 1. So I now lose one of the actions that I have. Slowed value increases by 1 each time the Bodak ends its turn in sunlight. If I lose all of my actions, I am destroyed. Love the new way they handle vulnerabilities in this game because it gives me a chance to get away, but I'm kind of fucked at the same time. That sucks. So you have daylight on me. So you got a war lantern and a daylight lantern out right now.
Yeah, he's holding the war lantern, and then he's holding the daylight lantern. He's just fucking hobbling
In air.
You can use the war lantern for your spells, but you won't be able to strike with it because it's a two-handed weapon.
Action to pull out the daylight lantern, action to move, action to activate, right?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm done.
All right, that takes us to the Inquisitor. He jumps off the building, lands on the ground. Boom, you see this man in this black, almost like, I would say matte, cast iron look to the armor with spikes on the front and on the shoulders, land with the glaive, and he looks up at the top of the tower and sees his retinue getting pushed over the ledge as daylight spills out, filling the air around. I'm going to use my third action to start climbing. And then that would take us to the top of the list. You are now grabbed. What would you like to do? Thankfully, the Bastard Sword is one-handed and two-handed.
Yeah, so how do I break a grab?
It is a attack roll or athletics roll versus my
Hi.
fort
Your DC.
defense.
Okay.
Fort DC.
So athletics. Whoop.
He's got a good grip on you. You can tell he's much stronger than you would have thought.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's part of the job.
Hey, man. Supernatural horrors. Welcome to it, right?
Yep. Welcome to Jurassic Park of Horrors.
35?
You swap and knock those out of his way. Are you using the sword to do it? How do you break the grab as he's... You beat him
So
by
I think-
10. Or no, almost 10. Beat him by 8.
Yeah. So, like, he's grabbed me, he's grabbed my plate, my full plate, and I think I put, like, I'm like this as he grabbed me, and I think I just, like, kind of, like, butt him in the face
Okay.
with the bastard sword to, like, kind of shock him into letting go of me.
And he stumbles back a little bit, and you see his eyes are closed as the daylight is spilling out right now. They're like really narrow slits.
Okay.
So one action, you broke free. You got 2 left.
And-
Those
and
do
now-
count towards multiple attack penalties when you do combat maneuvers.
Yeah,
Just
I know,
saying
and that's why I'm using exacting strike now. 'Cause
Because
this will
fuck it,
be-
why not?
Well, no, so exacting strike, so I take a -5. It's going to be 14. I got a 16,
Okay.
so that one missed. But
Okay.
because I failed, I can make my third attack without the third
Same
penalty.
penalty.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is a great feat. Ooh, Alan, it's super dark in your place now. You can be one of us.
Okay, I got 34 to hit.
That definitely hits.
Okay. I did 25 points of damage
As you
with my
cleave
with
into
my
him, and
last with my
he
last cleave.
stumbles back. He quick draws a revolver and aims it at Kasich. I'm gonna.
Was that a manipulate action?
Yes, it would be.
I get an attack of opportunity.
Go ahead and take it.
I will take that. A 32 to hit.
That hits.
Okay.
Damn.
4. For 13 points.
Okay.
I tried.
Okay, so I shoot. He quick draws and shoots. When he aims, you see the barrel light up like a electrical charge. I got a 32 against you, Kasich, for the first shot.
Yep.
Is that a crit?
No.
Okay. You take 8 points of regular damage of piercing, and you take an additional 12 of electricity as a shot hits you and electricity arcs out. I need you to make me a fortitude save.
Uh, 30.
Okay, you don't lose an action for being stunned. My second shot, I hit a 30. Does that hit you?
Isn't
Yep.
he slowed?
Yep, I get 2 shots, though.
Okay.
I lose 1 action. 5, 6, 7, 8 points of piercing, and 12 points of electrical, and I need another fort save.
Uh, 29.
All right, you're still not stunned, but you do take all the damage. That is the end of my turn. Your turn, or are you going to continue using the daylight lantern?
Yeah.
Okay. No action required because it's turned on. As long as he's in the area, it will affect him. What would you like to do with your other actions?
Be prepared for the Akata.
And you'll lower the war lantern, and the fucking lantern brightens to this almost as bright as the daylight lantern. It brightens this blinding white before this beam of fucking fire leaves from the top of the lantern and it drains the light. And he's gonna use fire ray on.
Okay, let's do
Douglas.
this.
While I'm here fighting him, and he tried grappling me, and the Inquisitor. Okay. This is why Kasich is the worst Inquisitor.
This is exactly why.
That chaotic evil life.
Ooh. 32.
I assume these are rolls to hit. Is that correct?
Yep.
32 hits, doesn't crit.
I'll use a focus point.
What does that do?
No, I just have to use it to cast it. It's my focus spell.
Gotcha. And how many points damage?
I need to roll a boatload of d6s. Give me a second.
That doesn't make me feel any better at all, actually.
Let me show this to the camera. It's a boatload of d6s.
Is it that many?
It's 8d6, yeah.
Come on, Douglas, you can survive this.
$38 points of damage.
God damn. Yeah, I take the 38. I'm still alive, though. Still alive. Anything else?
And that wasn't a crit, right?
Nope.
Okay.
Got an action left. Oh, you lowered. You cast it with the lantern. Is that 2 actions or 1?
2 actions.
You got an action left. What would you like to do?
Um,
You look like you're pretty fucked up, Jeeves.
he's pretty close. Is he within like poking distance of?
Up to you how close you wanted to be.
I think he fired the ray literally right next to
Point blank, just chest blast.
Argus. Yeah. Right next to her head, like this scorching beam just went point blank and Field Marshal Douglas, and then he just taps the side of her face and he heals her.
I think like if you could see under the
heal.
If you could see her under the mask, you just see like this flat expression of like, I can't believe this. Like I should have just slept in today. Not like surprised, like resigned.
So from
like,
down
I can't
below,
believe this, but actually she can.
You hear a big grunt of like, "Ugh!" And you see him shoot up past the tower, and then there's a crash through the top of the tower on the other side.
You healed 20 points.
Nice.
When he comes down, he comes through with the glaive and goes down the man's back and just cuts from the head all the way down to the back of his right leg. And then he ignites on fire. And the fire spreads off of him onto the Bodak, onto Sky Marshal Douglas. In Ignin, the Inquisitor starts saying something. His eyes light up, and I do 42 points of damage to him.
Why did I even need to be here?
As the fire lights up, Douglas turns, still alive, turns and looks to the Vogue out the window, and in Hallow says, "One of us is dying today." And his mouth opens up wide. Agrin, what would you like to do as I begin to use my lair action?
I think I'm just gonna go.
It's attack opportunity if you want. If you can make more than one. I don't know if you can yet, because you haven't gone again to reset it.
Yeah, I have to reset it.
All right.
So I can't do anything.
I spew blackness out at Kasich. Kasich, I need a fortitude save from you as I try to drain life from you to heal myself.
Is that death?
Nope.
Okay.
It didn't work that time. That's a 23.
You have hero points.
I do have a hero point.
I don't know if
Would
you
you
want
like
to
to use
risk
it before I roll this?
Man, this is like a 14 on blackjack again.
What did you get in total?
It's my last hero point.
What did you get in total?
23.
Okay. Staying?
Yeah, I won't hit. I got one hero point left. I gotta save that to not die.
As the smoke and blackness comes out and engulfs you, the daylight pierces it, already cutting the damage in half, also cutting the damage in half again because you made the save, and I only do 8 points of damage.
Yes.
But I heal it. That's what matters.
The true father is looking after his children.
Yup. And now it goes to Agrin's turn as the Bodak grimaces as he's trying to survive. I now go down to one action this turn. Agrin, what would you like to do as this creature is burning alive?
Am I in like flanking position with our Inquisitor?
Absolutely. Sure, yeah.
So then,
I have the tokens larger so people watching can see, but I am fine with that.
I'm going to spend a hero point on that one. Because that was a natural 1.
Okay.
I do not want to throw my awesome sword out the window by accident.
I mean, I'm fine with it.
I'm not. I will take that 27, even though that's probably not enough to hit.
Is that with the flank?
I didn't add the flank. I thought the flank was a negative to their AC.
Then with a negative, it hits.
Okay.
The Inquisitor provides more bonus for flanking than normal. You get a +4 when flanking with the Inquisitor instead of 2.
So that's 20 points of damage. 20 points of damage for the first hit.
How do you want to do this? I only had 12 left after that heal.
Okay. So, Agrun is like she's hurt, but she's okay, but she just saw this thing try and take out Kasich, and like they've been partners for a while, so it's kind of like, don't you dare fucking hit my partner. So she literally just like originally had like shoved him away, hacked at his arm, and so I'm not really a sword fighter, but I think she like draws back like this and just the head,
Decap?
like right in the neck.
So as
She
the
does a decap.
pulls the glaive out of the ground and is getting ready to turn it around, it goes through the first beam of the building, and then the second beam of the tower, like collapsing that rooftop as you decap him, cutting the head off, and it rolls and lands on the ground as the sunlight burns away the body and the head, leaving behind a soul. And as the soul comes out, the glaive comes in contact following what he believed you were going to get that last hit, the killing blow, hits the soul, igniting it on fire. And in Ignin, and then in Kadra, you hear first, yes, and then Kadraic, he's like, be gone. Be one. Join the faith. And the soul ignites, and you see one of the gems on the side of his plate mail armor close, and you just see Douglas pounding on the glass. The Inquisitor looks to the two of you and nods, and that's like usually the only level of like good job you get from the Inquisitor. And he looks around the town. He's got big dents in his armor from getting shot. And he looks to the rifle. He says, "One of you grab the rifle." And he looks around the city and he says, "I think Langington should
Burn.
perish."
Yes, I agree, Inquisitor. I agree.
Now, with that part said, as we get close to wrapping up the end here, you agree, of course, because you like fire everywhere. Does Angren believe that the city should be burned to the ground with the condition that it's in? I mean, it's a pretty decent city.
So, if it was just the heretics in the basement, I think she would be okay with it. The fact that there are so many Akata that are going to make it hard for us to escape and for anyone to come back later, that would be where Igren's like counter. This is her being the good cop out of the two.
The good cop out of the two.
Yeah, so she's like, as much as I would like to see this burn, especially that old woman trickster, with all the Akata here, I don't think it's a good decision, especially if we need to come back later and reclaim this and cleanse it for our own purposes.
The flames die down and absorb back into the breastplate, which has like a grill on the front of it. And you can see like an ember glowing inside. Give me a keeper lore to try to keep him in check. The difficulty is 26.
Okay.
If both of you are doing it, it'd be a little easier, but someone over here is...
I know. Well, like I said, like
I know,
as
I hear you.
Igren said, you know. I tried. Apparently, so I failed. I got
a hero point left. We're wrapping up. Do you want to spend it?
Here's the thing, though.
Secretly, Kelly wants the place to burn?
No, it's more like the way that I framed my argument was if it was just this, I would be all about burning it down.
Right.
But because of the Akata, I don't think we should. And I think, like, in that conversation, he probably picked up on the fact that she also would be fine with burning it if it wasn't for the Akata, and he might just be like, F it. You know what I mean? So she fought, and she fought a pretty valiant fight, but with Kasich not backing her up, and her also fighting her desire to see the place burn, she didn't make it.
So with that, as you're climbing down the tower having this discussion, exiting the church, he is dragging the glaive behind him, and it's cutting a groove through the ground. And he goes, "I would agree, except I found more remnants of heresy in the city." And then, like, Akata start to form around, like, the front of the church. And he goes, "In Akata, while they are drawing the fire, they aren't immune to the cleansing flame of the true faith." And you know that he does more than just fire damage to things when he ignites stuff. And when he draws it, he taps the pole arm on the ground, and the inside of the church ignites. And you can see, not only is the fire moving in this golden light, hands start to come out of the rune. And he says, "And besides, the Ignis always consumes." And he starts walking through as the scene of you, as the trio, making your way out towards the wall to climb over and get out, cutting through any of the Akata or the void zombies that are there, as this gigantic flame-like creature consumes the church and just starts burning away Akata and buildings in the area. Almost like I would say 20, 30 foot tall fire elemental starts to consume the city.
May the purifying fires of the Hand of Flame consume all wickedness and heresy here. Yes.
Agreed, Kasich. Agreed. Agren, understand why you don't wish it to burn. As you guys are like climbing up over the palisade to get out, and he turns back, he's like, but stone is strong. We can always come back and clean the city.
It is as you say, Inquisitor. And Kasich, you were right. So she's definitely like the closing scene. It's not her being bitter that she lost.
Yeah. As the camera pans back between the silhouette of the trio as the city is burning, and you're swatting anything trying to exit towards where you are, the camera would fade to black. The sound of the Splinter Ray's engine comes kind of dying down, and it cuts to Kasich and Merrifield. What does Kasich do when he removes the golden mask, and where does he live in Merrifield, to give the audience an idea of who and what they are in the city? One of the 96 citizens.
So the black hood gets lowered, revealing a mane of fiery red feathers. There's some white now that's poking through it. And as Kasich comes up to hold the nose cone, his other hand comes up and undoes the latches in the back. And as he pulls it off, his face kind of softens in the eyes a little bit, and he stows it in the satchel or the bag that is attached to his hip. And he goes over to his quarters. There's a little station, there's a little box, and he pulls out a little box, opens it, pulls out a little jar filled with a red crimson substance, and he unscrews the cap, puts his hand in there and takes it out and begins kind of like almost in a soothing pattern dyeing the white feathers red again with this thick, tacky crimson substance. It's almost reminiscent of blood. And he looks himself in the mirror, and as the remnants of everything that's occurred today kind of leaves, he's like, I wonder if there's any new patients at the temple that need tending to.
And at the door, you would hear a knock, and Tilda's brother would be knocking at the door in the temple, saying, Kasich, are you ready? We have a bunch of injured, and with the recent victim, a lot of people here with questions. And the camera would cut from Kasich over to Agrin. Agrin, what does it look like when you take your mask off? Where are you, and what do you do with the mask?
So, Agrin is in an alleyway.
Okay.
And she can't really take off the armor there by herself, but she can take off the other accoutrements of the True Faith in the retinue. So she takes everything else off. She stores it all in that satchel that she has at her hip. Mm-hmm. And then she pulls out some other items, like things you might expect to see when you purchase certain services at a brothel. Pulls out like a cat o' nine tails, some handcuffs. She pulls out a mirror, and she kind of sets it up on like a little ledge in the alleyway. It looks almost like she set it up for this. So she takes off the mask, and unlike Kasich, the mask is her, like her face. She is a beautiful half-orc woman. Perfect features. No blemishes, no nothing, just really nice short tusks. Her hair is kept well. She tucks that mask into the satchel as well. She pulls out a little theatrical kit, puts on a little bit of makeup, puts on some lipstick. She looks herself in the mirror as like her memories of the retinue start to fade, and she's like, well, it's time to put on a different kind of show. And as she walks in and someone greets her, she's like, I think the clients want this, but really they want this. And she like flexes in the plate mail.
The gun show?
with the cat o' nine tails.
And as the scene cuts away, it slides down as you're flexing down to the bag on the side. And the mask in your bag has got like a slight glow. And the remnants of fire can be heard as the camera starts to kind of die out. And numerous voices can be picked out as it almost kind of slides down into blackness. And the last voice that can be heard is a woman saying, "Calliope, it'll be fine. The fire will go away. No worries. No worries, Calliope." And then that crackling kind of dies out like the last parts of a fire in a fireplace dwindling. So that'll take us to the end of our side quest. There's a lot to unpack here. And this is one of those ones where if you're a viewer and you've seen everything that's happened through the 7 episodes of this season, we gave away some big pieces in here. And I'm sorry, Oliver, that your Sky Marshal is now dead. But shit happens. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I want to thank our sponsors, Beetle and Grimm, for helping us with our giveaway last week, to Meditate Pie, who won, and to the new things we have coming with them in the future. Even more so to our amazing sponsor, Norse Foundry, for providing 15% off on everything in the store by using the code Athontia, which will be down in the links below. And most of all, to the citizens of Merrifield, to the followers, to the watchers of the show, remember to share, like, and follow. Every time we get a new person who follows this stream, the amount of people who live in Merrifield rises. Right now we're at 96 as of the recording of this. At 100, I start the Merrifield map. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Thank you two for joining and getting to play people other than your normal characters.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for asking me.
And
I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do.
Right.
Here
And
we
those
are.
who see the red background, I'm doing something special with that for our next live show. So there might be a merch drop coming with the black and red colors of the normal background we use for like our XXL mouse pad and something new. I don't want to say what it is. I want to surprise everybody. So that's it for us, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of Side Quest. I'm not going to make Oliver sign us out because he's not here today.
I'm going to say, may the hand of the true Father always protect you.
And that's our Inquisitor sign out, everybody. Have a good one, and we'll catch you next time on Side Quest. Hey everybody, look up. Thank you for watching episode 7 of Side Quest. If you like what we do here, don't forget to join our Discord. Find the link down below, along with our Twitch. We are live every first and third Tuesday of the month, 7:30 p.m. for the live show, 7:10 for the pre-show. Till next time, when the darkness finds you.